Hollywood's darkest secrets don't stay buried forever, and this one is shaking the internet to its core. What if Brittany Murphy's death wasn't an accident? What if it was planned, covered up, and protected by some of the most powerful names in entertainment? New whispers tied to Kim Porter's alleged hidden files are reopening a case the industry desperately wants forgotten. Insiders claim Kim Porter knew too much about Hollywood rituals, toxic circles, and the silent victims trapped inside them. And now, Brittany Murphy's mysterious death is being dragged back into the spotlight with explosive connections to Ashton Kutcher and Diddy that fans say were never properly investigated. From strange timelines and silenced witnesses to sudden illnesses that make zero sense, the pieces are starting to line up in a way that's terrifying. Why was Brittany isolated in her final months? Why were key medical details allegedly rushed and buried? And why do the same powerful names keep appearing whenever uncomfortable truths surface? As Kim Porter's story continues to unravel even after her death, many believe she was trying to expose something much bigger, something that could destroy careers and empires overnight. This isn't just another conspiracy. This could be Hollywood's most disturbing cover-up yet. Hollywood has always thrived on illusion-perfect smiles, tragic endings, and stories that never quite add up. But every once in a while, a death resurfaces that refuses to stay quiet. Brittany Murphy is one of those names. Officially, her passing in 2009 was ruled an accidental death caused by pneumonia, anemia, and prescription drug use. Case closed, at least on paper. Yet for many fans and online investigators, the questions never stopped. And now, with renewed internet chatter surrounding Kim Porter's alleged knowledge of Hollywood's darker corners, Brittany's name is once again being pulled into the spotlight. To be clear, what follows is not proven fact, but a deep dive into the rumors, theories, and unanswered questions that continue to circulate online, questions that many believe were never fully addressed. Brittany Murphy was not just another actress. She was a rising star who had successfully crossed genres, comedies, dramas, voice acting, and even music. By the mid-2000s, she was everywhere. Then suddenly the narrative shifted. Tabloids began pushing stories about her being difficult, unstable, or unreliable. Roles slowed down. Appearances became rare. Fans noticed the change, but Hollywood moved on. When Brittany died at just 32 years old, the shock was immediate. What made it even more unsettling was what came next. Just 5 months later, her husband, Simon Monjack, died in the same house, reportedly from similar causes. 2 young people, same location, similar symptoms, yet no criminal investigation ever followed. For many, that alone raised eyebrows. Online, theorists often point to the environment Brittany was living in during her final years. Reports described her as increasingly isolated, surrounded by a small circle, and allegedly distanced from people who had once been close to her. Some friends later claimed they were unable to reach her. Others said she seemed afraid, paranoid, or unwell, but not in a way that matched the official explanation. This is where the internet begins, connecting dots, sometimes responsibly, sometimes recklessly. Kim Porter, the late model and actress known for her long relationship with Sean Diddy Combs, has recently been pulled into online discussions due to claims that she allegedly possessed private knowledge about Hollywood's inner workings. Since her death in 2018, social media has been flooded with speculation suggesting she may have known secrets involving powerful figures, control, and silence within the industry. Again, these claims remain unverified, but they've fueled a larger conversation about how much the public really knows about celebrity deaths. Some theorists suggest that Brittany Murphy may have seen or known something that made her a liability. Others argue she was simply a victim of a toxic environment, poor health management, emotional stress, and questionable people around her. The truth is, no one outside that inner circle can say for certain. Ashton Kutcher's name often comes up in online discussions, not because of direct evidence, but due to his past relationship with Brittany Murphy and later involvement in high-profile advocacy and Hollywood circles. Conspiracy-focused platforms question timelines, friendships, and coincidences, though no credible investigation has ever linked him to wrongdoing. Still, in the court of public opinion, silence and coincidence often become fuel for suspicion. The same applies to Diddy's name being mentioned in broader Hollywood secrecy narratives, as allegations and lawsuits unrelated to Brittany Murphy have surfaced in recent years. Some online commentators have retroactively tied his name to older celebrity deaths, including Kim Porter and Brittany Murphy. However, there is no verified proof connecting these individuals to Brittany's death, only speculation amplified by distrust of the entertainment industry. One of the most disturbing elements for fans remains the medical explanation. Pneumonia severe enough to be fatal in a young woman should have shown clearer warning signs, critics argue. Why wasn't she hospitalized earlier? Why were her symptoms allegedly minimized? Why did mold concerns in the house surface only after both deaths occurred and then quickly disappear from the narrative? Former investigators and medical professionals have weighed in publicly over the years, some saying the official cause was plausible, others admitting the case was unusual but not necessarily criminal. That gray area is where conspiracy thrives. Kim Porter's alleged role in knowing too much has become symbolic rather than factual. She represents the idea that insiders may see truths the public never will. Whether that's reality or projection remains unknown. But what is real is the pattern fans believe they see: sudden deaths, rushed conclusions, and powerful systems with no incentive to reopen cases. Part 01 isn't about proving murder. It's about understanding why so many people refuse to let this story rest. It's about how Hollywood's history of exploitation, silence, and image control makes official explanations harder for the public to trust. And it's about Brittany Murphy not as a conspiracy headline, but as a human being whose life ended too soon, leaving behind questions that still echo more than a decade later. As we move forward, the story becomes even more complicated. New claims, resurfaced interviews, and the internet's obsession with connecting dots have transformed Brittany's death into something much larger than a single tragedy. In the alleged timelines, behavior shifts, and why Kim Porter's name continues to be mentioned whenever Hollywood secrets come back into public conversation as the internet revisits Brittany Murphy's final years. Part 02 dives deeper into the patterns, timelines, and unanswered details that continue to trouble fans and independent researchers. This is the stage where coincidence starts feeling uncomfortable and where speculation grows louder, not because of proof, but because of what never seemed to be fully explained. One of the most discussed elements is Brittany's sudden withdrawal from Hollywood. In the early 2000s, she was booking major roles back-to-back. Then, almost abruptly, projects dried up. Studios reportedly labeled her as unreliable, a reputation that insiders claim appeared overnight. Supporters argue this kind of reputation shift often happens when an actor becomes difficult to control, speaks out, or refuses to play along with certain industry expectations. Again, there is no confirmed evidence this happened to Brittany, but the pattern is familiar to many who follow. Hollywood Expose's friends and former colleagues later stated that Brittany became increasingly isolated. Calls went unanswered. Visits were allegedly discouraged. Some claim her husband, Simon Munjak, tightly controlled access to her, while others say Brittany willingly retreated due to anxiety and health struggles. What fuels speculation is that multiple people noticed the change, yet no intervention occurred. Then there's the health narrative. According to official reports, Brittany died from pneumonia combined with anemia and multiple prescription medications. Doctors have stated this combination can be fatal. However, critics argue that pneumonia severe enough to cause death in a young woman doesn't usually progress unnoticed. Why were there no emergency hospitalizations earlier? Why were symptoms reportedly dismissed as flu-like? And why did her condition deteriorate so rapidly? The questions intensified when Simon Munjak died just 5 months later. in this same house from what was described as strikingly similar causes. 2 deaths. Same location. Same general explanation. No criminal probe. For many, that wasn't just tragic, it was statistically alarming. This is where environmental theories entered the conversation. Mold was briefly mentioned as a possible contributing factor, with claims that the house may have had toxic conditions. But the mold narrative appeared, then faded quickly, never becoming a focal point of the investigation. Critics ask, if mold was a factor, why wasn't it thoroughly documented and pursued? Supporters of the official ruling counter that mold was tested and dismissed. Still, the lack of transparency left room for doubt, as public trust in Hollywood institutions has eroded over the years. Older cases like Brittany's are now being re-examined through a different lens. This is why Kim Porter's name has become part of the conversation, not because of direct links to Brittany, but because she symbolizes a growing belief that insiders often know more than they can safely say. Following Kim. Porter's death in 2018, online narratives exploded, claiming she may have been preparing to expose secrets involving powerful figures and systems of silence. None of these claims have been verified, but they've created a ripple effect whenever unexplained celebrity deaths are discussed. Kim Porter's story is brought up as an example of how quickly narratives can be closed, questioned, and forgotten. Ashton Kutcher's name appears in these discussions largely due to timelines and proximity, not evidence. He dated Brittany Murphy in the early 2000s, long before her death. Internet theorists point to strange coincidences and Hollywood overlaps, though it's critical to state that no investigation has ever implicated him in any wrongdoing related to Brittany. Still, in online spaces, association often replaces proof, especially when people believe the industry protects its own. The broader issue driving these theories isn't any single individual, it's Hollywood's history. Decades of proven scandals, from exploitation to blacklisting to cover-ups, have trained the public to question official narratives. So when a young, successful actress dies suddenly, followed by her husband months later, and the case is quickly closed, skepticism becomes inevitable. Another unsettling detail often discussed is Brittany's reported fear and paranoia in her final months. Some claim she believed she was being watched or poisoned. Others say these were symptoms of anxiety and illness, exaggerated by tabloids after her death, without recordings, medical notes, or sworn testimony made public. The truth remains unclear, leaving the internet to fill in the gaps. Part 02 is where the story shifts from shock to pattern recognition. Fans aren't necessarily claiming to know what happened, they're questioning why the investigation felt so limited, why potential red flags weren't deeply explored, and why similar cases seem to follow the same script. Tragedy, explanation. Silence. Kim Porter's symbolic role in this narrative represents a larger fear that speaking out in powerful spaces can come with consequences, and that some truths never make it past closed doors. Whether that belief is justified or fueled by mistrust, it continues to gain traction as speculation grows. So does the divide between official records and public perception. And once that gap forms, it's almost impossible to close. In Part 03, we'll explore how social media, modern lawsuits, and renewed scrutiny of Hollywood power players have reignited interest in Brittany Murphy's death and why, years later, her story is still being used as a warning, a mystery, and a mirror reflecting the entertainment industry's darkest rumors. As Brittany Murphy's story continues to circulate online, Part 03 focuses on the legacy, unanswered questions, and the renewed attention her death has received in the context of Hollywood secrecy. More than a decade later, her passing is still dissected, analyzed, and theorized about, not only because of the tragedy itself, but because of the broader patterns it highlights. Fans and independent researchers continue to point out the unsettling coincidences surrounding her final months. Brittany reportedly became isolated, her health declined rapidly, and her husband Simon Monjack's death followed just 5 months later. Both were young, both died under similar circumstances, and both deaths were quickly labeled as natural causes. Too many. The lack of further investigation is one of the most glaring aspects of the story. Kim Porter's name often comes up in these discussions not as a direct participant, but as someone who allegedly had insight into Hollywood's inner workings. Supporters of this theory believe that she may have been aware of systems of control, silence, and secrecy that protect powerful individuals at the expense of the vulnerable. After her death in 2018, her story fueled speculation that Brittany's death might have been part of a larger pattern of exploitation or negligence, even if no concrete proof exists. Ashton Kutcher and Diddy are also repeatedly mentioned in online narratives, largely due to their proximity to the Hollywood circles Brittany and Kim were part of, while there is no verified evidence linking them to any wrongdoing. The theory persists because the public has grown increasingly skeptical of Hollywood's official explanations. Fans question timelines, social dynamics, and why some voices seem to be silenced while others dominate the narrative. Medical explanations, while plausible, are another focal point of debate. Pneumonia, anemia, and prescription medications were cited as causes of Brittany's death. But critics ask why her symptoms allegedly went unaddressed until it was too late, and why Simon's death mirrored hers so closely. The mold theory in their home, though dismissed officially, is frequently cited as another unexplained variable that fuels the controversy. Ultimately, Brittany Murphy's death continues to captivate because it sits at the intersection of tragedy, mystery, and the public's distrust of Hollywood institutions. It is a story that raises difficult questions about accountability, the influence of powerful people, and how quickly narratives can be closed when inconvenient truths emerge. While no definitive answers exist, the conversation itself shines a light on the pressures, isolation, and dangers that can accompany life in the entertainment industry. Brittany's story is a reminder that behind the glamour, the smiles, and the awards, there are real lives, vulnerabilities, and mysteries, some of which may never be fully explained. Her legacy, therefore, is not only as a talented actress taken too soon, but also as a symbol of the questions that remain unanswered, the suspicions that endure, and the ongoing fascination with Hollywood's hidden realities. The story continues to provoke debate, inspire investigation, and remind fans that some truths, whether revealed or concealed, leave lasting echoes that refuse to fade. The story of Brittany Murphy, Kim Porter, and the tangled web of Hollywood intrigue isn't just another headline, it's a wake-up call. It challenges us to question what we're told, to look deeper into the narratives presented by powerful industries, and to never take coincidences at face value. Whether you're a fan of Brittany, a follower of celebrity mysteries, or just someone fascinated by the hidden side of fame, it's clear that these stories deserve attention, not dismissal. Join the conversation. Share your thoughts, theories, or experiences with Hollywood secrets. Explore the timelines, the interviews, the unexplained events, because curiosity is the first step toward uncovering truth. Don't let the official narratives silence your questions or your critical thinking. Subscribe, follow, and stay updated on new revelations, insights, and investigative dives into celebrity mysteries. Each post, video, or discussion could hold a clue that others missed. And remember, every story has multiple sides. It's up to us to explore them responsibly. If you care about justice, transparency, and understanding the realities behind the glitz and glamour, stay vigilant, stay informed, and never stop asking questions. Brittany's story is far from over, and your awareness keeps it alive.